we can discuss a little bit.
Okay, it is easily digestible by the body, but don't necessarily think it's healthy. Like in this,
Why not?
it's a very
Is it
processed.
because of
Okay, look,
the
okay. If you made cheese, for example, you will get the whey and it'll separate out from the, what do you call it?
we'll separate the casein from the
Yes, when
from
you make
the whey?
cheese, the whey separates out,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And so
Yeah.
that whey in the most like natural like natural form, I don't have a problem with that. When you talk about whey protein powder, this is a processed artificial product made into a
Yeah.
powder. It's like dehydrated, so it'll actually dehydrate, like dry things will dehydrate your own body, which means like unless you have, well, I mean, you could have nourishment, like in the sort sense of like have some
I drink
water.
it with milk.
Yeah, have it with water, of course, right? That's
Why
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 you
with
need the water.
water?
No, I mean like because that's what people typically make it with.
I
Or
make it with
okay,
milk
you can make
because
it with milk as well, yeah.
it
But like you
yeah.
said, the processed types of milk, right? Like pasteurized, homogenized milks. These actually do have negative consequences. So pasteurized,
Absolutely not.
no, no, they
You
do,
have
they
no
do.
evidence of
Let me. I can back
this.
it up. I can back it up logically. Okay.
I can back it up that it doesn't have any negative health effects.
No, no, no. Homogenized, homogenized
The main
dairy.
reason the
Okay,
main
is
reason
an artificial and unnatural process which is not available until the like post-industrial revolution. And so humans shouldn't be doing it. That's my premise. Like anything that's not natural, anything that goes against like the fitra, basically of like how things should be eaten or how things should be made, should not be like. That's why I'm so against processed sugars. Right? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to eat like a fruit, and it's like, oh, this is a natural sweet fruit. It makes sense like in terms of like long term consequences. Processed sugars also cause lots of problems.
you do understand that the Quran is a book for all time, so some things
No, but I'm saying
is not
think more
relevant
long
to these
term in terms
days.
of your body is a trust from Allah, and you should be taking care of
Yeah.
it. Okay, and then
Yeah,
when
so you should use the best possible methods that are
no,
existing
no, no,
nowadays.
no, no. But I'm not saying, I'm saying like there's the, you know the idea of the fitra like for humans, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like our natural disposition, as in like humans are naturally supposed to believe in one God, and so
Yeah,
anyone who goes
yeah, yeah.
against that, anyone who goes against like in terms of like homosexuality, anyone who goes against in terms of like um, lying, cheating, or stealing, like these are all haram things in Islam. If you lie about, if you're dishonest as well, like um, and also like, by the way, Cruz, I don't think your girlfriend was dishonest. If I look at it from like, she let you read her poetry because she wanted you to know her inner thoughts, right?
No, this is
No,
hidden
okay, it was
poetry.
okay. If it was hidden, then yeah, that's sort of like hiding her thoughts from you. Then yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Mm,
So like, but
So I'm getting like the real deal when I look at her poetry.
yeah, I'm saying that you should have looked more like your, maybe your flaw in the relationship was to think more long term and try to think like, how can I how can I be the best like boyfriend or like in lover for this woman, and like that ties to the ideas of
I
like um like being emotionally understanding and not being emotionally abusive. Okay, like the two opposite sides, right? And that's about like understanding her perspective on life. And I had another point to make about this. It was like, being funny, do you think that you were funny with her?
yeah, she laughs all the time.
Yeah, yeah, so, there's, like, this, F-boy line that I heard, like, I learned how to be, like, good with women from, like, fuckboys, basically, and so it might sound funny, but, like, it makes sense, right? Like, fuckboys would be, like, the most
Mhm.
popular guys with, women, and so he sent me this video. He was like, "If you can make" the video was, like, an anime meme, and it was, like, saying, like, "If you can make a bitch laugh and giggle, you can make her cheeks clap and jiggle," or something like that.
Yeah,
That's a funny way to remember it. And so, like, if you're
yeah.
comedic and funny with women, okay, they're more likely to be interested in you because, like, they like a guy who's funny, right? It's a pretty logical deduction. And typically, women like a guy who's enjoying life, who's having fun. So, did you feel like you were having fun, like, in your relationship, or you felt like you were stressed out all the time?
Honestly, it's both, you know? Like, I just quit my
Right. Yeah.
job and I'm going full-time business,
well,
like, I'm always stressed, but, like,
Basically,
she
what because women are typically more likely to be feeler types, and they're not really thinking short term, and so they're thinking the long term, right? Like they think like, okay, this man, he might have potential into the future to be like a better man, like even if he's abusive. And so they want to
Mhm.
see evidence that you're working towards being a better man. Okay. It's like
Mhm.
more emotionally understanding, trying to understand her perspective, trying to like understand wants and needs in relationships. Like you talk to her directly. Like tell me about like if you did you ever feel like you try to understand her perspective and like wants and needs, like what she wants from a relationship, or you didn't ever think about that?
Yeah,
You did? Okay.
yeah, I did, and
Okay.
I listened to
All
it,
right.
and I took notes, and I tried to do those things,
Yeah.
and honestly, I was actually met with, kind of this circle. We got into this kind of
So,
cycle
but
of things.
why do you think that she couldn't trust you fully, like in terms of like being fully open with you and being like honest with you? Where do you think that stems from?
It's because I get defensive.
Right. Okay. So
I
you
think
basically need to
that
work
I
on that
didn't.
then. Basically, like your flaw is that
Yeah,
you get too defensive and you get too like triggered from like what do you call it? You get too strong emotional reactions, which leads to emotional outbursts. Like, and then the emotional outbursts, you're taking them out in a negative way. I'm saying like, if you have an emotional outburst, take it out in a positive way, as in like you can flip a table or something that's not hurting her, or you can like you could start something like a martial arts to take out your anger issues and well like that.
oh
Um,
yeah, I've done that.
yeah, yeah. And so, but like I'm saying, like in the immediate context, like okay, she's pissed you off. You want to flip a table and you want to like basically speak what's on your mind and say like, okay, look, this is why I think this, and this is why you're pissing me off right now. Like, don't ever do that again. Like, basically, you assert your authority by like flipping your shit, and that's like
I've done that.
yeah, yeah. But like you don't want to do it towards her directly. Like you don't want to insult her while you're doing that, right? Like or insult her personality and her character. Um, and like
Well,
so
if it's disrespectful, it's never gonna be like a personality thing. It's just gonna be, "This is what you've done. You're not gonna do that again."
yeah, yeah, it's also about having a diplomatic approach to that as well. Like so, you don't want to say it in a way that seems like you're attacking her character, right? Because people don't like their personality or their character being attacked. And so I can try and like make a fake scenario here. Let me think about it. Like let's say your girl goes outside and she's like dressed half naked, and you don't like that because you know you're probably like
Mhm,
protectively jealous.
mhm,
If she doesn't understand the expectation in the relationship, she might like keep doing it, and she doesn't care, right? Like, so then let's say she comes home and she's like half naked, right? And then you're like,
mhm,
why did you go out like this? I've already explained to you, like, because maybe you've already explained to her. And then you're like, so
mhm.
then you flip your shit, you like flip a table, you like walk around in circles, like sort of like mad and in that sort of way, right? You're not insulting a character. The negative sort of like abusive way to do this would be like, okay, um, you're like you're such a shitty person for always going out and not listening to me, and like so now you've insulted her, like you said you're a shitty person, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
See,
about
I don't ever do that, right?
right,
Like,
yeah,
I don't ever, like, go straight for the neck unless it is just, like unless I'm triggered, right? So
yeah.
triggered is like, I know what I've said, and now the way that you feel, right? So it stems from defensiveness, right? She tells me how she feels, right? And I'm over here like, okay, well, this is what I said, right? And then how can you feel this way based off of what I said? Because this doesn't make any sense. You don't feel this way, you feel this way, right? And like that's my problem. And then it gets worse because it's invalidating her feelings, right? So now I'm just like sitting here, like the only options I have now is basically just sitting back and listening to her. And then I don't have any say as to what, like, I don't have any say
So did you feel like
into.
that it was like she was wearing the pants in the relationship and like you didn't feel
No,
hurt basically? Or
she definitely is the kind of girl that wants to.
right, okay.
Definitely. Very she when I first met her, she was had a very masculine frame.
Yeah, okay, when it comes to that sort of, like, mindset, and also, like, I could recognize that by the fact that she was, like, obsessing over you, she probably has borderline, like, this mental illness.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's been in a in a mental institution.
Yeah, okay, so you're fucking with crazy, basically. But, but no, but I mean, like, not in a rude way, like,
Yeah.
I don't judge people for, like, having mental illnesses, I mean, like, people like, typically, when people are, like, trying to track their partner where they are, that shows a sign of, like, insecurity in the sense of they think that the partner might cheat, right? And so, like,
Yeah.
that shows that she already had the trust issues as well, and from the start, and you also had trust issues.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so in
Yeah,
this
we
sort
both.
of situation, okay, you're both religious, you're both the same religion. the
Mhm.
best appeal would be to appeal to religion, right? When it comes to disputes, okay? So if it's like, um, and if you feel like that your personal values don't align with your religion, then you should just follow a different religion. I recommend you look into Islam and Islam's treatment of women, and then you could also introduce her to that idea maybe later if you can like if you ever keep in contact. I don't know if like it's completely over. Like I feel like you probably are compatible people. It's just you need to like sort out the problems in the relationship and like try to understand each other's perspectives. But like
Yeah, it's
the so in Islam we like I said we only trust in Allah, uh, wholeheartedly like fully, and we only fear Allah. Like this is the idea of Tawheed uluhiyah. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. The oneness in the actions of the servant. Okay, and so when we talk about one we only fear Allah, we only love Allah like wholeheartedly, and so like we only trust in Allah. And so if somebody in this situation like betrays me and leaves, I'm like, okay, well, I only trusted in Allah anyways. This person like basically you would never be disappointed if you only trusted in like in one God. And also like in Islam we have the idea of like uh there's only one God, like in the sense of like very strictly like only one God, like indivisible God. Um, Unlike the Christian idea of like sometimes they have the Trinity or like they say that God has a son. We
mhm,
don't believe any of that, right? Um,
mhm,
and so like it's a complete one like a single focused trust. And so um like if the closer you are to Allah, the closer and closer your wife is, then the more you guys would you can appeal to religion if you have religious knowledge. And then so like let's say like in the example I told you, like the wife comes home and she's half naked. Okay. uh I wouldn't say like I wouldn't say like I don't like that you're doing that, right? As in like it's as in like it's just me being like jealously possessive. And I would say like, okay, in Islam we're taught women are not supposed to go, like if we're both Muslim, right? Women are told not to go outside, and I'll provide you the evidence. Okay, so I explain it logically and rationally and like without emotion, and then I would also provide the what do you call it, the evidence, right? And so actually, the ethos in this case, like the emotional appeal, would be I'm being assertive and I'm asserting like, okay, this is the correct way in religion. Like the emotional appeal is basically being confident, right, in my belief.
yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So
I mean, I've got that part pretty cool.
yeah.
You know,
And so
everything's
when I
cool on
talk to
that part,
people,
you
I
know?
typically only speak in terms of logos, and I typically speak in terms of pathos, as in like I try to say everything to be logically consistent, and I try to make sure that
Mhm,
everything I say, everything I say it in a confident way, an assertive way, and so like the thing is like even if I had absolutely no evidence for a claim, like if I say it assertively enough, like you might actually be more inclined to believe me, right? And that's the idea
mhm,
of like politicians. What do politicians do? Every time they open their mouth, they lie. And so,
mhm.
like that's the joke. Like, how do you know a politician is lying? When they open their mouth, basically. And so,
Yeah.
or when they speak. And so, I could be a good politician in that sense, but I like to have religious evidence, basically. Like my entire understanding of what's objectively true and what's objectively false comes from the Quran first, because I believe the Quran is the absolute word of God. And like again, you can look into this. You can read the Quran. I recommend you do. I encourage you. But like, what do you call it? Like, the Quran is also has an appeal for every single person in mankind. As in, like, it tells you like, it tells you not to lie, right? And like, people inherently are honest. I hope, and they're like, okay, well, there are actually, and if you think long term as well, like the consequences of a society where a lot of people lie, basically, like what the world we live in, leads to like dishonesty, people like broken relationships, divorces, like overall like misery, right? The more people are dishonest about their inner feelings, the worse things get, basically. And you think that the inverse, like the consequences of a world where everybody tells the truth, well, wouldn't you say that would just be an inherently better world to live in? Like if everybody was honest with their feelings, you wouldn't have relationship problems because people would just be like, you would be able to tell straight away, like, okay, I don't get along with this person because their inner feelings say this, and my inner feelings are like this, and then it's like, okay, if we're both honest and self-aware about our feelings, we say like, listen, I don't like when I don't like when you do such and such. Let's just end this relationship right here. Like, you wouldn't have relationship problems in the sense of relationships would be very easy to deal with because people, you don't have to read between the lines. Like, for example, I give you like the idea of like women texting. Like, do you think that your girl was like a good, like do you think that she was nice when she texted you, or like she was like sort of dry and sort of tone, like and rude near the end of your relationship versus like the start, for example?
So we're still currently in a relationship,
Oh, okay, so you're just having a bit of
right?
problems, right?
So it right now is the most difficult part.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
right now, I've never felt more emotionally distant from her.
Right, okay. And that's the cause of stress for you,
So
right? Like, being emotionally distant from the one you love.
yes, like we
Yeah.
are, yeah, it's bad. Like I scroll through Instagram and I see, post like things that she's liked on there. I even brought it up. I was like, you know what? Like, where do we stand? Like, is this it? Right? Like last night, and she was like, just sitting there, like, well, I hope that we can work things out.
Yeah.
And then, okay, well,
I want
that's
I
not
want you
what
to
it
start
looks like
applying
on
those, therapy
on your.
techniques then and try and make her feel more heard and make her feel more understood, and also, like, try to understand her. It's not about actually understanding her, it's about trying to understand her perspective and, like,
Mhm,
remembering, like, women value, like, a guy who has good memory, basically, so, for example,
mhm.
remembering, like, important details, and, like, I think when you're more emotionally involved, it's a lot easier to remember things, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, we should probably go through these rest of these active listening things, so validation, like being a cheerleader for feelings. Let's say your friend is really upset because they lost a game. Instead of saying, "It's just a game, don't worry," you can validate their feelings by saying, "I get why you're frustrated. You worked hard and you really wanted to win." Tip: never dismiss emotions. Even if you don't feel the same way, let them know their feelings are real and okay. So basically, like, yeah, validating their feelings. And so, like, you can literally just say, like, valid. Oh, this is like a valid way to like think about feel about things. That's like my simple one. But yeah. Um, like, do you feel like you were validating her feelings, or are you actually invalidating them?
I'm heavily invalidating them
Yeah,
because they don't
okay, so
logically make sense.
it's good that you're self-aware about that. I'm telling you to say, like, okay, acknowledge her feelings, but say, like, "Okay, this is why you're logically and empirically wrong." Like, if you and empirically in this context, like, religiously, like, if you have religious knowledge, you can apply that, like, so in Islam, I say, like, "Okay, like, let's say my wife is lying to me, I say, "Okay, look, stop doing that or I'm gonna divorce you." And she's like, "Oh, why?" "Because the Quran says not to lie and to be, like, honest." And the hadith also says, "The person who keeps lying will eventually become a liar, and the person who tells the truth will be righteous and will be good," right? And so, like, I can find the
Uh-huh.
hadith for you. One second. Like, telling the truth makes you more truthful, and in the sense of, like, you're able to identify the truth better as well.
Yeah, but my truth is not nice.
Yeah, but, that's based on
The way
your
that I
perspective on
feel.
life then. So, like,
Yeah,
I
that
typically find
my truth and the
INTJs,
way I
unless they're,
feel.
like, religious, they have a very pessimistic outlook on life, as in, like, they don't think life is really worth
Yeah.
living, and that's because of the logical and empirical evidence, like, you're drawing from all these, different evidence you learn about, and so, like, if you learn that, like, for example, men spike drinks of women, then now you're gonna be like, "Okay, well, I don't want my girl to go out in a bar on her, and she's gonna get spiked," for example, right? And so, like, I see a lot of, like, INTJs thinking this way, like, um, and that's, like, that's from the introverted intuition, like, a lot of people don't actually think about things the same way as we do, as in, like, we don't draw from all the different evidence that we've seen in our lives. And so, like, people say that NI is, like, one hell of a drug, as in, like, if you're an NI dominant, as in, like, INFJ or INTJ, it's a bit um, like, do you feel like you remember, like, almost everything you've gone through in life?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, you're drawing from all your experiences in life, and you're very clingy to your memories, right? Would you agree with that as well?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So that's,
That's
like,
who I
very
am.
very much like NI dominant, way of thinking, as in, like, and so, like, you might have different coping methods to deal with that, like, I like to text more than I like to, what do you call it? Say things, because then I can say, like, "Okay, look, you said this," and I can give you, like, a logical contradiction, like a why this is not true, right? Like if you wrote it out in text for me. And so I like
Hmm.
somebody who I can text with more than I can call with. Like unless I mean, because now I've got like a different coping method for that, like to cling to my memories, and look back at things. I can just stream things, right? And then that's a super easy way to deal with like recording my existence basically. But yeah,
Yeah. I just want to tell you something,
yeah, sure.
like real quick. Like, I just want to give you an instance that I've remembered.
Oh yeah, sure.
Um, you know, I I've got a fair share, bit of like bit of money, right? So
Uh huh.
I've
Right.
put myself in a good position.
Yep.
So I'm money is always gonna be the number one because I'm number one in my life, right?
Right.
And
You
so that
value
is
your
gonna
own
be the
feelings more than what other people's feelings.
well, no, that's not exactly because then that's not really love, is it? You
I
know?
would say it is actually being more authentic, right? Like, okay, let's say there's something that I would never compromise on, in a relationship. Like, let's say I would never let my woman go outside, like half naked. And like I said, I have a religious
Yeah, of
convicted
course.
reason why I wouldn't want her to do that. Okay,
Exactly.
and so I can prove it to my wife, like with my religion. Would you say you could prove it in your religion, like why a woman shouldn't do that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and what is your
I
evidence
can
for
do
that?
it.
Like, what would you bring up?
Well, I mean, it would.
Because okay,
I mean, there are
logically you
things
can
that.
explain it, but if you don't have evidence, you can't do the religious appeal approach. Like I was saying, like you can't say to your girl, okay, in our religion, this is not allowed. Okay, but in Islam we can say, okay, a man who does this is a dayuth and he's going to hellfire. I'm prioritizing my own afterlife. I don't want to go to hell, and so I'm gonna say I'm gonna put my foot down. I'm gonna say if you don't follow this, I'm gonna divorce you. I don't give a shit. Right? I don't want to go to hell. Right? This kind of way of thinking.
I mean, we're. I mean, for me, like we would consider that, you know, very textbook. You know, y- like in your religion, right? And so for
Okay.
us,
Did you guys
we're
both have
very
an
like almost.
agreed shared idea about that as well?
I mean, she's not like. I don't like to say this because then it kind of gives like I don't know, like a perception from you, but
No,
for
no,
me,
I don't judge.
I
I'm very
would,
open minded. Don't worry.
okay, okay, well, I think that that would be considered like what do you want, like
Controlling.
hardcore, like
Oh,
religious,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you believe in your religion, why don't you fully believe in it? Like fully convicted, right?
Well, we'll see. Like we're more like casual, right? Like we understand the very
No, no, but when it
baseline
comes
of
to
our
religious
religion.
beliefs, if it doesn't, if, like the reason you have doubts is because like some things are not making sense, right? And that's a sign telling you that you should actually follow a different religion, right? Because when you talk about religious beliefs, okay, there should not be any doubts. You should like for me, I can like logically and empirically explain all of my fundamental beliefs, right? If you can't do that, then like and I can like explain like why I believe the Quran is a miraculous text, for example. Like why I can explain why I believe there should only be one God without any children and partners and stuff. Like for example, if there were multiple gods, wouldn't they all like fight each other? If there was a trinity, wouldn't they like have disagreements within that? If they are all like sort of separate entities. And so it boils down to like Tawheed, as in like the oneness of God, basically. That's what Muslims believe in. And we have three different
Hmm.
aspects of that. Okay, I can teach you. Uh so Tawheed al Asma wa Sifat, it means the oneness in names and attributes. And so like only Allah can be the creator, only Allah can be like only Allah is the one, as in like he's indivisible and like only Allah is like al-haq, like the truth. Only Allah is like um able to compel people to do things, like the compeller, right? And so like any human who claims to say like, oh, well, I'm the best in the world, like I'm the best, right? You can't just say I'm the best. You can say like I'm the best in the world, maybe. But if you said I'm the best, then that's like against because like only Allah can be like the best, right? Like in that sort of like sense, right? And so like people making these claims, like arrogant claims, about themselves, like I'm always right. No, you can be wrong because you're a human. You make mistakes, right? And
Hmm.
so in that context, right? Only like it's a very like it's a very like logical belief that like okay, well if like and this ties up with the Quran. Like in the Quran, we have a verse that says, "Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad." There's nothing else like him, right? There's nothing else like Allah. And so this is the idea of like, well, God is the creator and we're the creation, right? If we think in that context, then like only God can have the attributes of like being a creator. That makes logical sense, right? And you could extrapolate that out. Like, okay, it's true that only Allah can compel people to do things, and like or like only Allah can restrict people, and only Allah can like expand people's like provision in terms of like getting money. And so like it's a complete like oneness in the idea of God. I can write this idea for you. It's called DMs. You can research into it a bit more if you want. He'd
I mean, I understand the a little bit about the Quran, and
all right.
honestly, it's just not what I was.
Well, have you read the entire thing cover to cover, like before making a
I
conclusion?
No, I mean,
Okay, I recommend you do
honestly,
that because
it's just
there's actually a reason here as well. Like, I can make this claim and it's actually true. So the entire Quran, it's internally logically consistent, as in no two verses contradict each other. Okay, and why is this important? Well, the Quran was revealed over a period of 23 years by an illiterate man. Does that like so? If you look into the details of those facts, like there's a provable historical facts, right? Um, wouldn't you say like it's very improbable that somebody can like say statements like statements over 23 years, revealing them gradually, um over 23 years, and then have a result that's like internally logically consistent 100%? Wouldn't you expect like human error, like humans would make a mistake, for example?
yeah.
And like if you look at the length of the Quran as well, like it's not a short book. This is a whole entire book. And
Mhm.
and also like there's other extrapolations. Like the Quran itself, it says inside of like the Quran that it's easy to memorize. And if we look at reality, people are memorizing the entire book, word for word, and they're able to recite it out to you.
In Hafiz.
Yeah, half is Quran is called.
Huh?
Like the half is like as in they've memorized the Quran, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you recognize that's like a real thing, right? You can like look it up. People have memorized the entire Quran
Mhm.
and they recite it like off by memory. Like you can do it with your eyes closed if you actually have good enough memory. And so does
There's
it like
nobody who
that like
memorized
basically acts as evidence
a
for the
book.
Quran, because it says like, okay, well, people actually memorize the Quran, and it says in the Quran that people will be able to memorize the Quran. So like feeds back into itself. And
Yeah.
yeah. And like would you say that you believe that the Bible is like the one-to-one word of God?
No, because it was written by multiple, but
Yeah, there's multiple
honestly,
authors. And then also what about
there's
like biblical contradictions? There's like numerical contradictions. Does God make numerical contradictions?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
God does not
true.
make numerical contradictions. Like, as in, like God wouldn't say somebody's age is one age, and then in another verse we say, "Oh, the same guy, he has a different age, and he died at this age." That doesn't make much sense, like logically to me.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So
But yeah,
like I'm saying, like you have doubts in your belief, and so you should look into other beliefs, right? Like when we talk
Yo,
about
Kai, I gotta go, Ju. I
uh,
gotta go.
you gotta go. Okay, I take care.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yeah, so like, and also in Islam, we have like the sense of brotherhood and like sisterhood. Like every single Muslim, I would help them because they're my brother, right? And I want the best for my brother. And same with like helping your neighbor. We have these ideas, as in like you should feed your neighbor before you feed yourself. Like this is in a hadith as well. And like you can look into all these claims I'm making, right? There's hadith
Mhm.
that basically say to like how to live the best life, and also the Quran is basically a teaching for like how to perceive life itself, like in reality. And so, like, we're not supposed to kill ourselves as Muslims. We're not supposed to even like threaten about suicide because it's you're supposed to be honest and true about your like your own feelings and everything constantly, right? Speak whatever's on your mind, and like uh say what you actually want to say, like in terms of like just be open and honest with your feelings as well. And that's called being like an honest person, right? And what do you think is the most trustworthy person? It's probably somebody who always speaks the truth and stands up for the truth, right? So
Yeah.
your girl probably doesn't trust you because she looks at you and she's like, okay, this guy gets emotional and he starts like abusing me. Like that might be how she perceives it, right? And
Mhm.
he doesn't try to understand my perspective. Or maybe she thinks like you're too close-minded to like because you get sensitive, she might think that you're too close-minded to her perspective. Like you don't actually care about her feelings, basically. And that's why I say
I
like
mean, I'm
look into the therapy techniques here, like validation. Like you want to validate her feelings instead of invalidating them. Okay.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I
Yeah.
honestly, man, like I don't know, man. Like this last couple like months have really kind of just thrown me into a whirlwind with things. I just want to give you a little example of how things played out here, really, like in a brief summary.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So, like me, my girl, we're in a car, whatever. We're driving down this highway, whatever. This guy is driving a bike, super fucking fast and recklessly,
Yeah.
right? He just speeds past, and I go, "Oh, I'm gonna get one of those one day. I'm gonna go like 160. I'm just being a smart ass, right?" And she's like, "Oh, you better not." And then she like, there's no joke about this. She said, "At least sign me over your will, or
Whoa.
at least we could at least get married,
Oh, right.
or
Okay.
marry
So,
me,
so,
or
so, so
something."
she wants.
Right?
Okay, that means that she wants reassurance that in the case that you die, she will get some sort of monetary like benefit at least. Okay, and
Yeah.
that's
And
not necessarily
so,
like a bad thing. That might just be like she's worried about her own future, right? And like after you're gone, because right now you like she sees you as a provider right now. That's not like
yeah.
men are typically the provider, right? In
Uh,
relationships, unless you have
mm,
like a sugar mommy, but like um
no.
yeah, okay. Like, men are typically the provider, and so like, she's thinking like for her own self benefit, in the case that you die because of speeding or whatever, she wants to have
Hmm.
reassurance that she'll be safe and like taken care of. Okay, and that's not necessarily a
Hmm.
bad feeling, like to want to be safe in the future.
And
Like,
yeah, I get
I
that.
don't
I
want you, yeah, I
understand
don't want you to
that
look at it
part.
like she's like a gold digger, right? I want you to just look at her
Yeah.
like she's a
So,
human, right? Okay, every
so
human
for me,
every human's looking out for their self interest, and what self interest means is different for every person.
yeah, but for me, I'm highly sensitive towards money. And of course, what did I say back? I paused and I said, "Well, that's kind of a shitty thing to say, you
Okay,
know."
that's
And
definitely
and
invalidating her
then
feelings then.
yeah, and
Okay,
then she
what
goes,
you should
What do
say
you mean?"
instead of like
Right?
making a statement, an opinion statement, next time I want you to say, why do you feel that way? Try to understand her perspective. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I did. I mean, I said,
No,
"Well,
but
why would you even say that?"
don't start with like an emotional reaction. Start with like saying, why would you say that? Like, oh, why do you feel that way? Basically, like, don't invalidate her feelings. Like, say like, um, like, if you did actually know like the reason, like, I would say like her reasoning is that she probably wants to feel safe in the future. I don't know,
Hmm.
like, am I right about that assumption? Oh,
No, yeah,
yeah, she told you that
sure.
afterwards, did she?
Yeah,
She wants, yeah.
that on down the road. She did say that
Yeah, yeah,
she just
okay.
wants to feel
So
safe, and
that's
that
good you
all
try
that,
to understand her perspective, but I'm saying, like, don't start
Mhm.
with, like, an emotional gut response first. Start with, you should actually try to validate her feelings in the sense, like, if, like, in the future, like, if she said, like, "You should at least write me into your will," right? Like, he's like, "I understand why you're saying that, but, like, that's still, like, a shitty thing to say." Like, if you actually feel that it's, like, really rude to say that.
That's yeah, it's very
Yeah, so
rude.
there you go. It's like, yeah, that's an you the first part is like the validation. Like, I understand why you feel that way, but that's a shitty thing to say. Don't ever say that to me again. Like, you just assert yourself, basically.
Yeah, that's essentially how it went down, and
Yeah, okay.
then it became
But
this big
it's about
fight,
no, but it's about being diplomatic, so then you can avoid like her emotional response. Okay, that's why I say like do it from a logical and detached, like sort of cold way, and not like getting pissy like a child, basically.
I mean, no, I listened to her.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I'm not
did
saying you
say, "Well,
didn't
it's kind of
basically.
a shitty thing. It's kind of a shitty thing to say," and I just paused, and we paused for, like, 30 minutes, and
Right.
she's like, "Are you
You
gonna
know what
talk
that's
to
you know what
me?"
that
And
pausing is called, by the way? That's called the freeze trauma response.
yeah, I paused, like, wow, well, that fucking changes a lot. Because she that's if okay, first of all, she didn't care if I died, and she cares about the money. And then not only did she say, "You write me in the will," she said, uh, oh, just get married or something, or marry me or something. So now she associates marriage with money,
Yeah, right.
right? And so that's what my brain is going through on a logical standpoint. And so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is where I
but
get
I'm saying
defensive.
that's an irrational idea to have because you have to be open minded to the other possibilities, as in like she might want to just have be safe, right? Like that's why I say don't make
No,
any
she'd be safe,
assumptions.
all right.
Yeah, yeah. So I say don't make any assumptions. In the case of that, you'd be like, okay, why do you feel that way? Because I feel like that's a bad thing to say to somebody that you like.
That's what I said.
Yeah, yeah. So like no, but it's like
Yeah.
the diplomatic approach, like as in like try and take the diplomatic approach, as in like try to be as nice as possible about it, basically.
Oh, I mean, I try, but
No,
some
it's
things are
sounding
just
to me
like,
like you went straight with, like, the gut emotional response, like, "Oh, that's a shitty
oh
thing to
yeah, I
say,"
mean,
and, like,
even
and
that
then
was
she's
censored.
yeah, and oh, okay, so were you, like, yelling or, like, a sort of outburst?
Oh no, I there's a lot of shit that I want to say to her that I don't
Okay.
ever say
What
because
what
I
I'm
know
saying
that she
is
from
if
the
you
get-go
want
is
if
mad.
you want her to be open with you, you have to be open about how you feel, and so you can start by, like, writing a text right now saying, like, "Okay, I'm sorry, not sorry, maybe, like, because you feel like you're not in the wrong, right? Only apologize if
Mhm,
you feel guilty about something." But,
mhm.
did you feel guilty about, like, having that whole fight, or, like, you felt like it was, you were justified?
No,
Okay, if you don't feel guilty,
I don't
then what I would say is
no.
write to her and say, like, listen, I just wanna say that, like, I'm gonna start trying to be more open with you now, and I want you to start being more open with me." Like, I can write this out for you if you want. Just text this to her,
No, I
okay?
mean, I no, I mean, this isn't, like, something that was, like, super recent, but this was about, like, a month ago or so, but
That's
this is
fine. Look,
something.
listen. Women actually like men who are, like, have really good memories, and so showing off to her that you memorized, like, certain scenarios and stuff in the past will actually show her that you care enough to, like, memorize these things, okay? So, I'll write this text out for you,
Yeah,
and I want you to send it to her and see how she responds, okay? So, like I said, I'm gonna go with, like, a diplomatic sort of tone, okay? Okay,
yeah.
um, I'm just gonna write it in our DMs, so, um, "Hey, name. I just wanted to say that we should start being more open with each other, and I'm gonna make efforts towards doing that. I've been holding back a lot of different feelings towards you in terms of like, um, let me think. Well, you said a lot of different things, right? So let's just say, um, how I feel about your behaviors, and I want to start being more open and honest about those things, so we can work on our relationship together in the long term.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
so you start with
she's
start with
already
this
told
text
me.
maybe, and say, and then you
Yeah,
can tie
she
it back with the story. So like, for example, in the car that one time, and then you like say how many days ago it was or something like that.
yeah.
Okay, wait on. I want to redo it. Okay, in the car X days ago, uh, I remember feeling that I wanted to explain to you how I think that it's a rude thing to only care about like the way I perceived it. Sorry, it should be not like that. You shouldn't make an assumption. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I remember feeling that you um said. I don't know. Hold on. I'll say like, you put it in the conversation like for for example, in the car X days ago, I felt like the thing that you said was a rude thing to say because of the fact that I value money, and I at the time I thought, um, what did you say that you thought about? Like you thought that she was being like, um, you thought that she only cared about money, basically, right?
Yeah, it's just cold, detached
Okay,
response.
right. I thought that this was like, okay, yeah. a very cold and detached response, and it showed that you didn't really care about me. And so I should have just been honest at the time and told you that's how I felt about things in order to help you actually understand my inner feelings rather than the approach that I took, which was, what did you do again? Like, you basically just had an emotional outburst, right? And like acted pissy, like a
Well, no, it was like I'm
which was
always
start an argument, basically, right?
yes, but it was like everything that I say is always very consistent. And everything that I say is also very open. But when she thinks the only thing that I really have a problem with is when she says something that's inconsistent with something else and incongruent with reality, is
Right. Okay.
where I want to say, how can you feel this way? Right? Like I have the instinct to say, how do you feel this way? How can you, because you didn't do this, you did
Okay.
this, right? So then that becomes an argument,
Okay.
right?
We're gonna address all the points in like terms of integrity as well. So like, you want to admit basically that you read her diary, and that's gonna sound contrarian, like a very crazy approach, but it's actually going to be better because it shows that you care about understanding her inner thoughts, like her poetry, not her diary. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, okay. So do you think send these two texts to her, and I want to see how she responds to them. I don't know if she's able to respond right now, but
No, she's not.
okay, yeah, just send them anyways, and it shows that like if you double text or like triple text, it shows you care more. So this is probably fine for her personality. But for some people, it's like I mean, what's important is that you show that you're more understanding, I guess, as well.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, what's
Um,
up?
yeah, I'm just gonna be honest, completely honest. The things, so the message that you're sending right now, I'm actually reading it
Yeah, sure.
here right now, and I'm gonna be honest, it's very, you know, it almost seems very surface level, like open. There's no real like true depth to
Okay, well
how
then, how would you modify the
of
message to make
anything,
it seem a
right?
bit more deeper than like in terms because like I said, I'm looking at it from the outside. I don't actually understand your inner
Yeah,
thoughts, and so rewrite it
yeah,
in a way that would seem like how you would write it, basically. But like I'm saying, still be open and
okay,
honest about it. Okay, so you can rewrite these messages. I don't care. I just like giving you a general like railroad and
yeah,
like what in terms of being like more open and honest, right?
hmm yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna, you know, I was really just kind of looking more for like faults, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Right.
whenever I
So
talk when I
okay,
talk
we
to
can write
you,
that. We can
like
write that.
I want to see. No, I mean like not really with the messages or like I don't necessarily need
No,
help
no,
with that.
I
Like
mean,
I
like,
can,
you can extrapolate that to how you wanna text her, like, say, I'm typically a person who looks for faults rather than looks for, like, I typically have a negative outlook on life, and that's why I look for faults, and so when I heard that you said,
yeah,
like, when I heard you said that you feel this sort of way, I went straight to the assumption that you kind of don't care about me, basically.
yeah. All of that was actually communicated during that whole thing.
Yeah, but do you think that she
Like
actually understood that
we're
perspective, or, like, what?
no, she got defensive
There you
because
go. So
sorry,
you need to
I
make
won't,
her
I
understand
won't.
your perspective without her getting emotional. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So
Yeah, she basically said, "Okay, I won't bring up marriage anymore." And then she just went quiet, and then she started it up again.
okay, do you feel
And
like you
then,
actually do want to get married to this woman?
um, I mean, it's honestly a debate. If we can
If
fix
you two are
this
in a
from the
relationship,
core,
if you
then
two are in
yes.
a relationship, you means you're attracted to each other and you want to be with each other. I feel like that means that you should be open to the idea of marriage, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we're both like I love her, she loves me. Um, yes, of course.
Okay, so then
Marriage is
that's the
on the
right
table.
message saying how you actually do feel like you love her and care for her and you want to marry her. And that
Yes.
her like you don't want her to say like sad things like about like not wanting to get married. So basically write a message like that. So I'll write an example message for you. You can again, like I said, if you find faults in my messages, like my way of communicating, don't modify it so
I
like
mean, I
the overall messages like basically keep the overall message the same, but like you can change it to be like the way that you text basically.
yeah. Yeah, I understand that. We don't really text like a whole bunch, right? Like
No, but
everything
like
that we
the thing is,
have in
people like to text because texting is more open and and honest communication. As in, like, if you're good at texting, it shows that you're good at showing your thoughts to like your open and honest thoughts, right? I feel like when people talk, they have like the fear of judgment. They have the fear of like abandonment, like getting ditched in real life. And so like there's a bunch of
Mhm.
fears that might tie you back from actually openly expressing yourself. That's why I say send some text to her and see how she reacts and see if she's like open to wanting to be more open and honest, basically.
Yeah. Do you want some example text that we've recently went
Uh,
back and forth?
well, it's like your private conversation. I don't know. I'm streaming it, so
I
yeah.
no, I mean, dude, it does not matter to me.
Okay, sure, sure, sure. Tell me about it.
Okay, so let's just start it off. I won't stay. Okay, she said, I won't stay if you don't go to therapy. There is your answer. This is not okay anymore. Schedule a session or find someone else to bully.
All right,
And I said,
and
I am in the wrong.
I'm the godsend for I'm just like the therapy master here.
Yes. Yeah. So I said, I'm in the wrong, and I honestly agree. Honestly agree. I need therapy 100%.
Right,
Said, I'll put my ego aside. I will listen to what you have to say without emotional judgment. Your emotions are valid, just as how mine are, even though I don't understand, and that's probably not believable with how this morning went, but I will do it.
right,
And
okay,
she said, I'm not safe to speak with you. You know it, and I will wait so that you can get help if you take action and get help. And
okay.
then
You can
I
tell
said,
her. Okay, don't say that I'm from Discord, but just say like, okay, I met a really good therapist who's told me I should start being more open and honest about my feelings, and he's taught me these sort of ideas. We start with that. We start with that text. Okay, this is like your first
no,
response to it, I reckon.
no, I think we've
No,
mastered openness. It's the shit that we
no, no, but
say
it's
that
about the
kills each other.
honesty. It's about the honesty in terms of feelings. Both of you are not being honest about your inner feelings, right?
I think that we are, and it's just killing each other.
No, no, no. I can already identify it in this. Like for example, how you thought what she said was a cold and detached response. Did you communicate that to her? Or
Yes,
okay,
yeah. While I was in the
did
car
you
way
communicate
back.
how it showed that like she didn't really care about you? Like that's how you
Yes,
interpreted it. Okay,
yes,
okay, right. But like I'm saying, the missing part here is that she's also not being open with her feelings.
not anymore now.
Yes. And so, like, no, no, but it's also about having integrity and like showing that you are somebody who's trustworthy as well. So,
Mhm.
I want to give you some examples. Like, you're reading her inner thoughts, her poetry, and you didn't even tell her that you're reading them. That's called
No,
having no integrity, basically, like a negative integrity. Not no integrity, but negative integrity, right? And so, how do you mend that? You say, okay, listen, I want to be just completely honest with you about everything now, and not hide any secrets from you, so you can trust me more. Um, I actually read your poetry and your inner thoughts and feelings towards me, and I'm sort of upset that this is how you feel towards me, but you don't show that in real life.
that's yeah. I mean,
Okay,
I
so
have not said anything about that, but it's something that I keep in my back pocket. You know, it's something that honestly that's hers, but I know about
yeah,
it.
yeah, but I'm saying
So,
you should tell her because relationships should be like you shouldn't have any secrets with the person you love, right? This is my very childish approach to love and understanding it, but
mhm.
this is actually true. Like, having integrity is a good thing, and it makes you more trustworthy as a man, and so you should have integrity. And so how are you gonna mend the negative integrity you have in the situation? You say, okay, listen, I want you to be completely honest about you, with you, like, and not hide any more secrets from you. I want to say that I've read your poetry and I know what your inner thoughts are on like towards me, and so this sort of stresses me out because I see how you behave towards me doesn't necessarily line up with how you actually feel towards me. And I'm sorry about reading it because it wasn't right for me to read it. It's and I was sorry. I'm sorry for being so dishonest that I kept this from you for so long. But um, I just want you to know that I don't judge your inner feelings towards me, and I actually really like them more than how you actually behave towards me. Like, you do like that. You do like that, basically. So would you
Yeah.
say you agree with what I said, right? And so why don't you just send this to her, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm actually like I
yes,
encourage you to
good
actually do
degree.
it and just see like yeah. So if you agree with it, rewrite it in your own words, sure, but like try and keep the
Mhm,
overall message and try to keep the diplomatic tone. Definitely in this case, if you feel guilty about it, you should apologize. And I feel like she would
mhm,
expect you to feel guilty about like reading something that she didn't want you to read. Like it's her own privacy.
mhm. See, she has so for me as a paranoid person, supposedly, I she doesn't get privacy, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like
Then you need to
if
make
I
that
say
expectation clear. Like, listen,
I
uh,
did,
okay, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. But it's also about like her understanding your perspectives more strongly. So, like, how did you explain it to her?
yes.
You tell me about it.
I said, listen, your location, it's gonna be on 24/7. There's only time that you disconnect.
Okay, and she was okay with
Your
that, and like
yes,
she wanted to know where
she's
you
totally
are
fine
as
with
well,
it.
right?
Yeah, and I never had any problems except for 2 times, and that's it. And they were very like they were in extreme cases with extreme fights.
Yeah, okay,
And so and they were very, very short, right? They yeah. But anyways, and then I said, when I say that I see something, right? That means
yeah,
I'm just overthinking, and I would like to see your phone because I'm overthinking. Your behavior is odd. The way that you act is odd. I'm gonna need to see your phone because my mind is just it's playing games on me. So please put out this fire for me and let me see your phone. And she does every single time.
yeah, okay,
She puts out those fires, right? And so anything and everything has all lined out. There's never been anything. There's never been any issue with her and like from what I can see, right? um, with her, like talking to anyone else or
but
anything like
like
that. Like,
because you've read about her inner feelings and thoughts towards you, that's what this is the
mhm,
main cause of stress for you, right? You feel like she should be acting in this way if she actually feels this way, but you feel like there's a disconnect between
mhm.
her actual behavior and her thoughts, right?
Yes, that is the biggest problem in our relationship
Okay,
is
and I'm
what
saying
she says she
that
is and what she
yeah, yeah. And I'm saying
what
that
she's
the
doing.
best way to address that pain point is, like I said, just take this integrity, fully, openly honest approach, and then as she'll see that and she'll be like, oh wow, this guy is actually really caring. Like this guy actually cares about integrity. This guy wants to be like uh and women when they see integrity, they're like, okay, this guy I can trust him more, right? Just inherently.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
there's a big level of trust on my end, or not on my end, but on her end for me. Like
yeah, right. And then
I'm
also when
very
it comes
very
to
loyal
religious
on her.
beliefs, like you should be honest with yourself about like having doubts is means that maybe you're not following the right religion. And so like
Hmm.
yeah, like I said, I
Yeah.
encourage you to look into Islam because we believe the Quran is the word of God, like one to one word of God. And that's why there's
Yeah.
no logical internal consistencies
Hmm.
as well like and so because God doesn't make mistakes, right? That's a very important thing to keep in mind. God does not make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's why the Bible is problematic in that sense.
Hmm.
Because there's been a lot of works documented on like biblical contradictions, not just numerical ones, but like other stuff, like definition based ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so like you should be open and honest, and also you could open a dialogue with your girlfriend or whatever, and say like, listen, I've been always holding certain doubts towards Christianity, like the Bible having contradictions and stuff. Maybe we should look into other religions as well. I know that Islam, like, you could actually just like say like suggest the idea like if you believe in Islam, if you learn about it more, you could open the idea to her as well. But I'm not saying you believe in it right now. I'm saying like you probably agree with a lot of the ideas like women should cover up fully their body, right? When they go out, you agree with that idea, right? And so if you can convince her to follow a religion which does that, then you would be more in line with your own personal feelings and things.
Hmm.
Um, and like Islam teaches us like that we should be honest, and I feel like we should be honest with our feelings as well. I feel like we're not being honest with our feelings right now. And so, like, if you don't feel comfortable with, like, I mean, I feel like you should just take the integrity, like, be trustworthy route, but if you don't feel like, you could do that, then what you can say, like, is, "I feel like you're not being honest with your inner feelings." Like, you just say, like, as a feeling, like a gut feeling, "I feel like you're not being honest with how you actually feel towards me, and that really stresses me out because I feel like you do love and care for me, but why do you act this way towards me?" Like, you could bring up that.
Yeah, I've definitely said things like I've made it very, very clear that, you know,
Okay, but now
um
I'm suggesting, okay, logically, it makes sense, like, okay, if you wanna be with somebody and you love and care for someone, then you should act in that sort of way. But I'm saying, like,
mhm,
you're doing it in an indirect way. You're only appealing to the logos here. I'm saying take the ethos route and say, like, logos and ethos, and also put in some pathos in there, right? So say, like, the sorry part, like, I'm apologizing, I feel bad. That's the
mhm,
emotional appeal there. And, like,
yeah,
you say, like, okay, look,
I do
I
that.
actually, yeah, yeah. Okay, so you combine all three of them basically. Like, this is like the most perfect approach. As in, like, you're telling her, how you don't wanna have any secrets between her, okay? That's the, pathos part. And it's also gonna appeal to her idea, like, "Okay, maybe I shouldn't keep any secrets from this guy, maybe I can trust him." And then we say, like, "Okay, I read your poetry." This is like saying, "Okay, now he has ethos on how I actually perceive and think about him. Maybe I should actually act in accordance with how I feel towards him." Right? And
Mhm,
then, like, because right now you were doing it without ethos. That's why she's like, okay, well, I can just conceal the fact that I actually really do love and care for this guy. And then the last part is
mhm,
like, I'm sorry about reading it, and that shows, like, okay, at least he feels guilty about it. It's like, well, in terms of ethos, like, this is an evidence point for him being, having good integrity, having him being more trustworthy, and have him finally wanting to be, like, more open and honest. And also the last part about, like, um, him apologizing shows that he feels bad for violating my privacy, right? Because, like, if she didn't show it to you, that means that she was wanting to keep it private. So yeah. And so,
mhm,
like I said about our own ways of thinking, like, in terms of, we collect evidence points and then we draw conclusions from that. Women do the same, but they do it, like, on a longer scale thing, like in the past and into the future. They extrapolate. And so, like, and give you some more examples. Like, so, like I said about the evidence point of being trustworthy. Like, if you never lie to her, okay, she's gonna think that you're an honest guy, and she'll extrapolate into the
mhm,
future. Like, you never lied to her in the past, so then maybe in the future you're never gonna lie to her ever again, right?
mhm,
And actually, this is like where you could potentially have, like, an outlet for manipulation, right? Like, as in the woman, like, the way you said things, like, it was a complete appeal to pathos, but what you said was actually not what you truly believe. And so you sound, like, confident in what you're saying, basically, but what you said was not actually your true feelings. And then women are like, okay, well, he's not lying to me because he said it so confidently, right? There's no way he's lying. And unless the woman actually cares about the ethos of your claims, like, if I say, like, this is where gaslighting comes from, right? You're just basically telling lies, in a confident way, and then they believe it. So yeah.
mhm.
Um,
So I don't ever lie to her, and quite
yeah,
honestly,
yeah. I'm not suggesting that you lie to her either. I was just saying, like,
yeah,
this is where, like, manipulation comes from. It's because women extrapolate so much, and women don't care too much about logic, and they also don't care too much about evidence a lot of the time.
yeah. I mean, I we could all agree on that, but
Oh yeah, if you know,
I
you know.
mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, I've been around the block, but like, damn, this is some next level shit, right?
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I just need like a like a mediator or something, or what do they call them? Like a referee, like a relationship referee. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm giving you some advice on, like, what you could text to her, and this could improve your relationship. And so I encourage you to actually try it out and see if it goes well.
Yeah.
And but again, like,
Uh,
write it in a way that is your own words for, like, the
mhm,
examples I gave you for the text. And so it doesn't seem, like,
yeah.
shallow, like how you typically write. Like, just write text how you typically write text, basically. Like, uh if you use lots of, what do you call it? Punctuation to make it, like, look very, like, neat and organized. Like, if you like that
Yeah, I could clean.
Yeah, yeah.
I can clean it up.
Yeah, yeah, clean it up, put it into paragraphs, and then I want you to text them right now, okay? Start now, start today, and then you can start improving your relationship. Because like you
Yeah,
said, your main point of stress right now is the feeling like emotionally distant, and you feel
mhm,
mentally distant. And the reason is because she's not doing her feelings in like she's not being open with her feelings basically. Like I think that you've been
mhm.
like open and honest about how you feel about things, but she's not doing the same back to you basically.
Yes. I mean, she's tried though, and I keep shutting her down.
Yeah, yeah, but what you want to show, what do you want to explain to her is that the fact that you've read her poetry, it shows that you like maybe this is like if we talk in the meta game analysis here. Maybe she wanted you to read her poetry, right? She left it in a place which was actually for you to read. Like, do you think that was a very obvious spot, or it was somewhere you might want to check?
No, listen. I'm damn near paranoid. I check everything.
Okay, and then okay, she knows this about you, right? And so women can actually be very manipulative and cunning in the sense of like, she knows you're paranoid. She knows you're gonna check everywhere. So if I just leave some poetry around in a place where he'll check, then maybe he'll understand my feelings better and my thoughts, right? So you've actually been manipulated in this sense to thinking that like, I know about her inner feelings and she doesn't. She's like, I left it there so then you can read it and start caring about like start thinking about how I feel about towards you, right?
And these are not things that are not left out in sight. She has a Discord server
Right.
that's
Okay.
pretty popular, and it is
But
embedded like
you
deeply
know about the
into
Discord
the.
server. Does she know about that you know about the Discord server?
Yes, but I do not have any access to it.
Oh, okay.
There's no access. Yeah, I'm not joined there. I don't,
How
I
did
went on
you
her.
find stuff about it then?
I went on her computer and I just
Oh,
kind
okay.
of like stumbled across the servers and I seen that there was
Do you guys have like
one under
have
her
you
name.
discussed expectations in like terms of privacy? Like, are you allowed to go into her Discord? Like, are you allowed to go on her computer? I mean,
Yes,
okay.
I'm allowed to do all
So
that,
so
but we've had
yeah. So then
issues
she could have it.
before.
Yeah. So then if you both like violate each other's privacy in that sense, you don't care about each other's privacy, then basically she actually expects you to go and check her messages and see how she feels about you, like in her thoughts.
Yeah, and she also mentioned that um, like I called her out for, how police, it's illegal for entrapment. I said that is the equivalent to what you were doing to me by leaving things open and then purposely rigging it to where you can see if I opened it or not,
Right. Okay.
and then being mad
The
at
thing
me
is,
for
I know
doing
how to
so.
avoid
Uh,
entrapment. Basically, just return things to how you
don't
found
check
them.
it. No, I mean, like, as
No.
soon as you
I'm
log
serious about
in.
this. Okay, let's say like okay, if it was like,
No,
oh sorry,
she's got it rigged, man. I'm telling you,
no,
she's got
I'm
it
saying
fucking
like,
rigged.
okay, if I found a computer, okay, well yeah, if there's like a notification that proves that she can like that proves that you logged in, then yeah, probably don't log in like that.
Mhm.
I'm saying like,
Yeah.
let's say somebody leaves like a string on a doorknob, okay, and like when you
Mhm.
turn the doorknob, the string will fall onto the ground, and then now I know, okay, you opened that door.
Uh,
If you just like are observant enough, like this is called hypervigilance and also tied to
mhm.
paranoia. Okay, if you
Uh-huh.
see that string on the doorknob, you're like, okay, maybe somebody's trying to do this to see if somebody opened the door. How about I just like make sure I put the string back when I get out of the door, and how about I like make sure I leave everything how I found it, right? And so in Islam,
That's usually how it works.
yeah, this is literally a religious teaching in Islam, actually, that you should just leave things how you found them, as like, actually, leave things better than you found them. Is that what we're taught? So this is like actually to improve the
Yeah.
area that you go in. And so like, if I see an area and it's
Uh-huh.
got like a bunch of very obvious like litter and rubbish, I'll take it and I'll put it in the bin. Right? It's just to improve the area. But like, of course, if there's like certain like books in a space, for example, maybe the person wanted the books to be that in that arrangement. So I'd respect like, okay, maybe somebody's reading this right now. I should probably just leave it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, she's gotten to the point, like, there was one point where I went through her old phone as, like, as she was swapping over to her new phone, and I found like secure folder enabled. I found like all these things enabled,
Right.
and I said, "What's in it?" She said, "There's nothing in it," but I could never prove it because this phone was shipped off. And then she said she got super mad at me because I looked through it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
actually, when
Do you want me to
before
do
she
you want me
left
to
her
tell you how to
phone,
improve your approach? Because right now, when I see your behavior, I'm like, okay, this guy is very paranoid, and
exactly.
that shows a sort of level of insecurity in the relationship, as in like
Mhm.
you don't trust her. Okay,
I don't
that's how
trust
that's
anybody.
no, that yeah, I know, but like that's how she's gonna perceive it. That you don't trust her,
Mhm.
and so like why should she trust you? Like she might be like the type who mirrors sort of behaviors in that sense. Because you're paranoid, she's like, okay, I'm gonna be paranoid and like not express my own feelings to him too, right?
Mhm.
Like she wants to
Yeah, I
return it
mean,
to you.
maybe. I mean, she she like every single time I've never like yelled at her or flinched when she grabbed my phone because I
Yeah.
know I'm true to
So
myself,
let me tell you,
right?
this is like a mindset shift. Okay, like I said, like only trust in Allah. Okay, in that sense, like one God. Um,
Yeah, I've put God to ease my mind and it has worked
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Okay, yeah. And also, like, if you have doubts in your religion, then okay, maybe find a religion which you can be more convicted in. Like I said, Islam, Islam can be proved logically and empirically. Okay, there's evidence. The Quran is miraculous. There's just that one basic fact as well. Like revealed over 23 years and logically internally consistent. I feel like that's a very strong evidence point, especially when you consider that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like the prophet, he was an illiterate man. All right, it doesn't make much logical sense. An illiterate man could make something so logically consistent, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, you know, it's very weird relationship to be honest with you. I've never seen someone be
Okay,
so inconsistent though.
I'm telling you to like, okay, like maybe you can't ever change your inner trust issues, right? Maybe because you've been betrayed by many people in the past, right?
Many, yeah, many
Yeah,
times.
and so and like humans can be very hypocritical. Humans can be very dishonest.
Mhm,
But what I'm saying, and like they can be very illogical as well and irrational. But I'm saying,
mhm,
um, like don't show that to her. Basically, act the entire opposite. Like, be completely trusting and gullible, and like take everything she says seriously, and she'll think, oh, this guy really does trust me. And so, like for example, I'll tell you an example. This is like from my own relationship. Um, I mean, we have so many arguments because of this, right? Um, she was playing Roblox and like half naked in Roblox, and she was grinding against other men, like and dancing in a club. And so I was like, get the fuck out of this game, okay? This is leave the game right now. And then she's like didn't take me seriously, so I'm like, okay, I'm leaving the call, right? And so I left the call, and she's like, no, come back, and like I'm sorry, I didn't know you take it seriously. It's just Roblox. Like I didn't take it seriously. And I was telling her like, listen, in the real, if you did this shit in real life, I'd divorce you straight away, right? I just was straight with her. Um, as in like, if you're gonna like go around dancing in clubs with other men and then call me and be like, hey, I'm having so much fun dancing, and like I'm gonna say fuck off. Okay, we're not together anymore. I'm divorcing you, right? And so, like, you can probably relate to that understanding, like my viewpoint on that, right? Like, why would I want you to dance with other men, firstly, and why would I want you like because of my trust issues, right? I don't trust you to
mhm,
I don't trust anybody to not betray me, and so like, if you were dancing against other men, also I don't trust the other men around you, right? So then you should
mhm.
tell her teach her your worldview, like say like literally all men are devils, all men are evil, okay? Don't go with other men, alright? And she probably already understands this because she has her own trust issues, right? But I'm saying, like, you have to start taking everything she says seriously, and that's how you show you have to show that you take everything she says seriously, which shows that, um, you do trust her in what she says, basically.
Yeah, yeah. You know, recently, within the last 2 weeks, I've said that, we got to our kind of like our final fight, for all of this, like, paranoid acts that I've been doing. I said, recently, like, she acts, like, super distant for, like, 2 weeks, obviously no initiation, no nothing, and then I mirrored her, like, everything that she did for 1 full week, and then, she basically Like if she kissed me, I kissed her back. If she hugged me, I hugged her back. If she said I love you, I'm gonna say I love you back, right? I mirrored her initiations, right,
Yeah.
from my normal, right? And then she came up to me and said, "So have you just given up?"
Right. Okay.
After I've said to her
I want
before
you
that,
to start
I
being
said,
I want you to start looking at like stop getting emotional in terms of relationship and just start treating it like a problem to be solved. And like when you get stressed, how do you typically deal with problems? You like it sounds like you have the freeze emotional response, as in like trauma response. And so like the idea of trauma response is that it ties back to like early childhood, how you dealt with stresses, right? So like you'd step back and with a freeze response, you step back and you try to think about things like, okay, how can I solve this problem? And then like you get very emotionally detached basically in a stressful situation. Would you say that's how you deal with things?
"Mm, yeah, somewhat."
Yeah, like that's typical for INTJs basically. They they get emotionally detached when there's stress. Like for example, if you go to an exam, you might have had stress before going to the exam, but during the actual exam, you don't feel stressed at all. Would you say you have that?
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. So that's called the freeze trauma response. You can look into that. And basically, what I want you to do is look at your relationship problem as a problem to be solved, as in like the sense of like, okay, I want better long term outcomes in the future, so I'm gonna be emotionally detached when in terms of my like dealings, but of course, like you might still have your care and love for her, right?
yeah.
So like, I'll give you an example. Like I said, like with the example, like okay, the woman comes home and she's like dressed like half naked. I would say, okay, uh, I'm gonna explain it to you like logically why you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, and I'm gonna provide evidence, which is based on like, in my case, it would be based on the Quran and the Sunnah, because like we're both Muslim, and it says like, okay, look, the Hadith says that a woman like who disobeys her husband will be like cursed. It's like just to start with, right? And actually,
Mhm.
there is biblical verses probably which would say the same thing. Okay, but like what do you call it? A woman who disobeys her husband will be cursed and like go to hellfire. And so I'm worried about your future, as in like I don't want you to go to hellfire. So can you just stop disobeying me in regards to what do you call it? In regards to dressing how you dress when you go outside. And so like it's a very cold and detached emotional response. I know, sorry, very cold and detached response,
Yeah,
but it also appeals to
yeah.
her
I'm very assertive.
yeah, but it also appeals to the pathos. Like there's an emotional appeal here, saying like, "I'm worried about your future because I don't want you to go to hell." Right? Like I don't want you to go to hell. It's like you should just say it like as is. And the reason you don't want her like the it ties to her disobeying you will lead to her going to hell, and so you're worried about that basically.
Well,
And
it
so that shows that you
for me,
care
it's
about her future, and it shows that you care about her afterlife. Even like that's a very romantic sort of thing. So the woman will see that and be like, "Oh my god, he's actually very caring about me. Like he cares about whether I go to hell or not."
I mean, of course, that's always in mind, but,
Yeah, okay.
for
And
me,
so
it's
again, like
usually
when
it's very
if you have
assertive,
doubts
you
with
know?
it, yeah, if you have doubts with yeah, and when you act very logically and detached from emotion, like you don't get super like pissy and stuff. It shows her that it shows her that you're more trustworthy in the sense of like you won't get emotionally upset at her. You'll actually like want to try and understand her perspective, and you won't try to like be abusive. Basically, you won't be abusive. You'll just like try to respond using like using what you know, which is like the scripture, and using logic, as in like basically don't get emotional yourself, but you can still try to appeal to her emotions. Right? This is how you influence
I mean, I
people, and this is also how you manipulate people. Like I
yeah,
said,
I don't know.
manipulation is when you are lying, and influencing is when you tell the truth, like speaking truth to power, basically.
I mean, I was gonna speak the truth, and there's no manipulation, but the words that are the truth to me, it comes out as a manipulation. I don't mean to be
What?
manipulative.
Okay, no, but I'm saying don't distinguish between manipulation and influencing. Okay, influencing someone. is a good thing. I'd say manipulating is bad because manipulating involves lying. But you could say that
Mhm.
influencing a person to act in a different way is a type of manipulation, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, she actually touched up on that
Anyways,
subject recently.
yeah, yeah. What the word you were looking for the like the person you need to like sort the conflict between you is a relationship counselor. So I don't mind if you want to like bring her in here, we can discuss with each other. But like if she's not online right now, then it's fine. But
Nah,
yeah, okay. I don't mind
she's not
being like a sort
online.
of mediator, so then you guys can try to understand each other better. And like I said,
Yeah.
start with like the text in terms of like show her that you have integrity. I'm not gonna upload this VOD out of respect for like her privacy. Like I know for your privacy as well. So like
Mhm.
you don't necessarily tell her that you read her poetry. Um, but you should. I reckon it's I encourage you to do that because it shows you have integrity and like that you want to be more open and honest about everything and like not keep secrets from each other, right? If you feel like that's a valuable thing in a
Yeah.
relationship, then you should tell her about it. And if she doesn't agree with you, like, okay, you shouldn't have actually read my poetry, then maybe that would just lead to the relationship ending. But like, I'm saying like if you didn't have that expectation, like, because it sounds like to me that you guys actually do expect each other to have no privacy between each other, right?
There's essentially no privacy.
Yeah,
Now, if I just pick up her phone and just go through it, that's considered not okay, but I guess if she picks up my phone and she doesn't tell me, it's okay.
yeah. I'm saying like, okay, if she
That's
doesn't
kind of
value
a
your privacy,
two-way.
then you don't necessarily need to value hers. Like in the sense like
Well, I mean,
she doesn't expect you to value her privacy in the sense like she wants you to know everything about her. Basically, that's what it means. It's like the hidden subtext.
yeah.
So you read between the lines, like
Mhm.
if she wants you to know everything about her, then just tell her that you know about some of her inner feelings as well, right? And so it shows you that it shows her that you care. Basically, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of thinking about things, and I don't know. It's just like it's almost a two-way street. I have to step over, like I have to ask for permission to do that. Sometimes, like, hey, I'm checking out your
Yeah.
phone, and she won't flinch or
I want to tell
nothing.
you a bit about my upbringing and my background. Like, why do I say I'm an INFJ? It's because I have FE instead of TE. So, like I said, INTJs they care about the logical and empirical evidence to back up points. FE, I'm thinking in terms of the future, and I'm thinking in terms of external feelings. That's what it's called, extroverted feelings. So, like, I'm thinking in terms of the societal, like, grand scheme of things, how do things fit in? And also, like, you can still be logical as an INFJ. It doesn't mean that, like, as a non-thinker type, you can still have, like, really well-developed logic, right? Like, would you say anything I have said so far has been logically inconsistent, right?
So far, everything's consistent.
Yeah, there you go. So, like, and that's the idea of, like, constantly speaking the truth, constantly speaking what's on your mind will make you a more truthful person. I wanted to find that hadith, by the way, I forgot to, but I'll just quickly finish. So, my childhood was basically about I used to clown around and I used to try to appeal to everybody and try to be like comedic and try to make them laugh and smile and stuff. And like that was because my upbringing was like very abusive, like in terms of like my direct relatives, right? Like my mother and my father, they were not the best people towards me. I don't judge them based on that, but like um when we talk about like I didn't feel comfortable at home, but my grandfather, he used to like laugh with us, play with us, like smile with us. He tried to make like he would be very positive with us and like all of my relatives like they were Muslim, but like my grandfather, he was just like a really good Muslim. He used to recite Quran for us in the car. He used to pray with us, and like we were little kids, and I get like very emotional when I talk about him as well. Like I start like crying at some like usually when I talk about him, like I reflect on it, if I'm like feeling like particularly emotional. It's like he used to treat us so well compared to like how abusive my household was. And so I was like, okay, I want to be like my grandfather. Like it's a mimicry, right? Mimicking him. I was like, I want to make people laugh and smile. And so I sort of like tried to figure out what makes people laugh. Okay. And that ties back to external feelings, like thinking about how others feel about things, right? And so
Yeah.
instead of like
I
being
I try to do that as well.
yeah, yeah, and that's why you study psychology, right? But I'm saying like you need to do it on like a more human level, as in like we're all human, we all make mistakes. We don't judge people. We should be open to any perspective. And what do you call it? We should be open. and honest about every single thing we think. And like it sounds very autistic. Like the way I speak probably is very autistic to most people because autism, what is autism? Caring about the truth more than other people's feelings, right? And so like I'm telling
Hmm.
you, the truth in this case is that you did read her poetry, and so to have integrity as a man, to be like to show yourself like as being trustworthy, what you should do is just be honest about it, right? Caring about the truth more than her feelings towards the matter, right? Like if you
That's always been the case.
yeah, yeah, but no, but I'm saying like to be truthful about how you fully feel, like in terms of like in terms of how you feel based on the things that you did, right? Because she doesn't know that you read her poetry. Okay, so she doesn't know that you think about how she thinks, and you try and like compare that against how she actually treats you, and so that's why there's a disconnect there. The disconnect will stay there as long as you don't ever reveal the fact that you read her poetry.
Mhm.
So my advice to you is basically just act autistic. Basically, say everything that's in your mind, and say everything that's true, like truthful, and like try to be very self aware about your feelings. Okay, like INTJs maybe they're not too like typically self aware about their feelings because they care about like logic so much, and they think like, okay, well, my own feelings are not very logical. Maybe I shouldn't express them fully, right? I'm saying you actually should because this is a relationship and it's not related to like problem solving. It's not related to practical matters. It's related to other people's feelings, and other people's feelings are not necessarily rational. And like for example, when um I want to tie it back to like something that you said in before. Um, like in the car, for example, is it a rational belief to go straight to assuming, okay, well, her call and detached response means she only really cares about me for the money. Like, is that a rational belief?
I'm just calling it how I see it.
No, no, but like I'm saying, is it like actually how she feels about you? Like, is it rational if you
I don't
assume
know.
okay, yeah. If you assume that like the poetry she wrote for you is actually how she feels about you, would you say that she's only in it for the money, like the relationship?
Well, to put an interesting twist on this, right? I have stopped paying for a lot of things, and all of a sudden now we're getting to a very like
Right. Okay, I can see
dead
another
to this.
pattern here. Thinking about it.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I started
so
stop paying for
you
things. She
withhold
pays for half of the
monetary
rent.
support, and
Yeah.
that's a cause of stress for her in terms of like you're trying to sway her um to change, and then for example, she'll manipulate you in terms of like, okay, well, I'm not giving you sex right now because of that, right? Is that
No.
no? Okay, well then how do you see it? Like how does she? Because right now you're
It's
emotionally distant with each other, right?
right as of right now. Like it's crazy because 3 days ago she was kissing me all over the face and telling me, "Do you feel loved?" and "Do you feel these things?" And now after I go and pop a 1,500 on a fucking washer and dryer that she wanted the other day with cash, she brings up the fact that she actually started up this argument yesterday or 2 days ago about how she got all moody out of nowhere after me spending $1,500 without blinking an eye. And then she was super happy, like that she didn't have to go to the laundromat, right? And then, and then the next day she says, "I like how you could spend $1,500 on this and not have a job and work on your business full time and stay at home, but I have to work two jobs and pay for half of the rent now and pay for my own groceries, even though I'm still paying more than half of the rent. I'm paying for rent, electricity, water, my own groceries, my the internet bill, my own cell phone, all these things, insurance. I'm keeping myself afloat because I got it, right? Like I'm good financially. She's not. She thinks it's selfish, right? And then so then she also mentions things about, well, I don't think that we're really, aligning on like a religious level, and I need a man that can like lead me, and I need a man that, you know, um, And honestly, I think that was just because I was getting at her, right? And then I was kind of like an attack back. I don't think she really thinks that, but if she does, then I don't know what the fuck to do with that. But um essentially, like, it got to the point where she said, "Yeah," and then you said something about, you know, like the marriage and how you want to sign a prenup, and like she brought those things up after I just got done spending 1,500 with no job. Like, she now knows. Like, I've never spent that much amount of money at once in front of her while paying rent. It's already expensive and covering her other bills, right? To keep my costs down. That's why I'm making her pay because I got a budget. And I'm also kind of testing her, to be honest with you, because if she gets up and leaves, gets emotionally distant, which she did, she got emotionally distant after I started stop, paying everything, and so she got emotionally distant for about a month. I started marrying what she did. She didn't like it. After I said, "Are you?" So I said, "When are you gonna leave?" Because I'm just being insecure right now. When are you gonna leave? And she's like, "No, I'm not even gonna leave." But yet her actions was to, like, I noticed that she was turning off her Wi-Fi when she go in the restroom. I noticed that WhatsApp was peeing on my router. I noticed applications that were not on her phone when I looked at them were there when I looked at her phone, right? And then I realized that you can have secure folder. I looked at her secure folder. She doesn't have it enabled. I looked at developer options. She does not have it available, like anything enabled, right? She's clean. Everything's clean, right? But yeah, I still see the breadcrumbs and the little pieces of in between the cracks that enable my paranoia to want to go dig, right? So here I am looking at the router, looking at her her new behavior, right? I see the behavior change after not paying. I see, you know, I
Yeah.
see the distance, right? I see her turning off her Wi-Fi,
Yeah, but
right? Which was at
I'm saying like, why do you guys feel like you need to like blackmail each other basically in the sense of like
it's no, it's not necessarily
it is
blackmail.
it's like it's a two-way blackmail in the sense of like if you don't act how I want you to act, then I'm gonna take away monetary support, and if you don't act like from her perspective, she's like, okay, well if you don't act the way that I want you to act, as in like giving me money, then I feel like I should just be emotionally distant with you and like be pissy all the time, even though
No,
my inner
so
feelings, like because you've read her poetry, my inner feelings say the
yeah.
opposite of that, basically.
So to clear up what you said correctly, I quit my job because my job was shit.
My job because
So
my
I was
job is
working full
shit.
time, made good money.
Full time.
I have I have the ability to quit.
Right, because you see yourself
I
as
have
like
to
a
budget,
highly competent
right?
person, right?
Yes, I'm going all in on this business, right? She noticed that it to step it back even a little bit further to fill in some more gaps in the
Yeah, but
details.
this
She
is
was
a
like,
good evidence point from her perspective. Like as a woman, she would be like, okay, this guy's actually shown that he's financially competent and capable, and so
mhm,
he should be willing to spend money on me because he's able to make his own money and like as a self-made rich man, basically.
mhm, yeah. And
By the way, like
so,
what is your business in? Like IT, you said, right?
well, I study information technology, but I make money in digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Okay, could you market my YouTube channel and my Twitch? I'm willing to pay you. I
Maybe,
don't mind. Like, I mean, unless you
maybe.
found like what I've said so valuable that you don't want to charge me, but
No, I mean, I mean,
I
it
could
sounds
give
good
you
to me, but
free
like,
therapy, and you can give me free marketing, basically. I don't.
yeah, I mean, hey, that
You scratch
works,
my
but
back, I scratch yours, basically.
yeah, yeah, that's the way the world works, man. But
Yeah.
anyways, just to describe this, man, like I quit my job. This is my own thing. She even said, "Whatever makes you happy. I'm happy that you got out of that shit job, that place. You don't have fiberglass on your clothes. You probably feel much better. I did. I know that this hurts on you, and I'm tired. This job makes you grumpy. All these things. Like she was feeding positive into it, but yet on down that road, she is now complaining that she has to pay for this. All right.
Yeah.
And like she says, like, oh, she has debt, I'm paying for, or I'm not paying anything on her debt. I'm managing her money. And I told her the exact methods. I said, you can do these methods because I know how money works. I'm willing to teach you this. And then, she's using that. She's getting her debt. She's doing better. I like everything about her, honestly, is better, right? Like before I met her, yes, she had shorter hair,
Right.
right? She didn't wear makeup. She didn't do all these things. But now she,
She's
nails,
changing
makeup,
for your
hair.
expectations,
She changed.
right?
She's changing, right? But she's not only
That's
just
sort of the
changing,
same for
she's
my
changing her
wife
entire
because
life,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. No, but
And
like
her entire life is
that just
better.
okay. Then that shows that she has like she doesn't have a very strong sense of self, as in like she's willing to
No.
appease you in the sense of like she values her relationship more than she values her ego, basically.
Yeah, maybe that might. She does have
That's
kind
that's
of
that's
a little bit
probably
of an
exactly how
identity
it is,
issue.
right? Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so
So,
so that's like probably the same with like me and my wife. I feel like we have like basically the same sort of like dynamic, except I just try to be open about our expectations and everything like that, and I just speak whatever's on my mind. And also like in the case like if I read her poetry about me, like if she had secret poetry written about me, I'd probably just like I'd take the integrity approach, as in like I'd say okay, to have integrity in this case, like I read it, that was the wrong thing. I'd say like okay, I feel bad about it. I'm sorry for reading your poetry. Um, and so I'm going to like I'm gonna say like I'm sorry, but like uh I see the disconnect between your poetry and how you treat me, and I feel like you should be acting in a different way. All right, and let's just ask like my wife if you were in this situation,
mhm,
like because she's watching my stream. If you were in this situation, like how would you feel like if I said that? If I said like okay, I'm being honest with you and real with you, like no secrets between us. Like I read your poetry and I feel bad about it, but like I feel like you should be acting in accordance with how you actually feel towards me.
mhm.
Let me just ask that
I
to my
mean,
wife.
that's yeah,
So, what do you
you
think? Oh,
that makes a lot of sense.
what do you think? What if that happened? One ignored message. Let's see. Yeah, answer. I want to
But
hear your thoughts on it because you're a woman, right? That's
yeah,
probably the best.
it's a really weird thing, because I do a lot of what you say, right?
Mm.
I do say, listen,
You
you're
value
very
logical and
hard to
empirical
read.
evidence as well, right? Like as much as me.
Yeah,
Like yeah.
I say, listen, this is not correlating with what you're telling me, right? One month you say you're going to go hell and back, you know, for me, with me, for eternity, and the next day you say, we're moving all of your furniture into, the apartment, and I say, does it scare you? And she says, yes, because I don't know how long this relationship is going to last. You know, like those are very contradicting things within a month, and things have not gotten any better or worse,
Okay, one second. I'm
right?
gonna ask my wife the question. So it was in the scenario of let me just write it out for her. Let's say that you had secret poetry written about me, and it said that like I love Kai so much, and it's like all these sort of like things, and like I really care about him and this and that, right? And then in real life, you're like, this is like the idea of in anime, the tsundere type, right? Like the she's like, uh, it's not like I like you or anything, Baka. It's like basically like being what do you call it? Being emotionally cold and detached, or like being like rude even and mean. And so if I read your poetry and um I told you, listen, I read your poetry and I'm sorry for reading your poetry, like because you probably didn't want me to, but um why do you act so differently to your inner feelings towards me? Because I read in your poetry that you said like this, and this, and so when you act rude to me, it does hurt my feelings as well, right? So basically, I want you to think of yourself in this scenario, and I want you to say, okay, how would you react to my response to like my sort of approach and saying like I want to basically have no secrets between us. That's sort of like the hidden subtext. No, no, yeah, yeah. Your thoughts are different from how you act. Okay, and same with like in our relationship. I feel like you sort of do that as well. Because if you if you feel like you should be obeying me as like a religious Muslim woman, then whenever I tell you something, you should just go and do it. That's why I say like I get like upset at that because I feel like you shouldn't procrastinate something I told you to do. I feel like you should just go and do it because as a wife should obey the husband basically. And I can provide proof in Islam using and I can use logic and say like, okay, look, if you don't obey me, there are consequences. There's negative consequences. But like also at the same time, I'm willing to be accommodating in the sense that I know that you procrastinate if somebody tells you to do something, and so I should be willing to compromise and say like, okay, how about I just let you? I just tell you what I want done, but I don't tell you to actually do it, and then you can just do it and make sure you do it quickly. Basically, like I want it done. I want you to start working on things as I suggest them, but I don't want you to like feel like you're being ordered around. Basically. Okay, so yeah, so she said, I mean, I tried to act on it. Not saying things would change right away, but I tried to fix it. So yeah, like in this yeah, so in this case, that's the fawn response, as in like you're willing to compromise for the sake of your lover. By the way, I posted a picture about trauma responses if you want to take a look.
Mhm.
Here. See. Oh, so.
Hey, honestly, I hate to cut it short, but I actually have to go do something.
Oh yeah, that's okay. But like I said,
I
can
actually
you
watched.
actually do some marketing for my Twitch because I get like no viewers. I think we could
Yeah, I
help each
can.
other in the sense of like I can give you advice about like relationships, and
Yeah,
you can give me like the practical business side of that. I'm willing to pay you if you need money for marketing. By the way, like I don't know how it works, but
yeah. I mean, there is some overhead
yeah,
that's
yeah, I don't
involved,
mind paying
but
for like it depends on how much it costs, but like I don't mind paying for getting more viewers because I feel like it's gonna pay back in the long term as well. So yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, I gotta go
yeah, it's a nice
and
conversation though. Nice meeting you. What can I call you by the way? Like Cruz is what you want to be called?
yeah, cruise.
Yeah, okay. Nice to meet you, Cruz. You can take care. I hope your relationship
All
goes
right.
very well. I do sincerely want the best for you as well. Like in terms of like, I'm worried about your afterlife as well. Like even though we're just strangers, I guess, I'm worried about
Uh-huh.
like whether you will go to hell or hell or paradise. And so like I want you to
Mhm.
think in terms of like if you have doubts about your belief, then maybe start acting on it. Like start thinking about okay, what are some other beliefs? And like I said, I encourage you to read the Quran and see if it resonates with you and maybe like talk to your girlfriend about it as well. But yeah,
Yeah, will do, man.
yeah, okay,
Well, hey, I appreciate it.
yeah. Nice to meet you as well. By the way, take care.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you.
All right, I'll just end the stream then.